The new Arrma Kraton Traxxas EXB is an awesome car, and Arrma made a bunch of updates to this, but the question is, in today's day and age, did they do enough? That's the question we're going to be answering in this video. I'm also going to be showing you what I broke over the last several packs, what I think this truck's strong points and weak points are, and whether or not you should buy this or something else. This thing's all together and working properly right now, so before we dig into it, why don't we go for a bash? So as you can see, this thing is a ton of fun. It handles well, it jumps well, and especially on 7S, I'm really enjoying it. Now, speaking of 7S, in the previous video, I had several people mention that running two dissimilar batteries is not safe, and that is absolutely correct. To clarify, you really don't want to be running two dissimilar batteries like this. These two batteries have different cells in them, and those different cells are going to discharge at different rates. Because your ESC can only detect the total voltage of both batteries, if one of these discharges more quickly than the other, that could lead to one battery becoming over-discharged, and when a battery gets over-discharged, it gets damaged. That being said, I was only running two dissimilar batteries to test this setup out. You can get 7S batteries from HRB, SMC, and several other places, so if you want to do this, you don't need to run two different batteries, and I don't recommend that you do. So here's what I like about this car. You get a lot of really nice updated parts. These new shock caps work really, really well. Not a lot of rebound when landing jumps. These towers are fine. These new bulkheads are very, very strong. Haven't had any issues with those. This new center brace is absolutely awesome. It connects to the center differential here, which really strengthens things up. The front and rear braces are holding up absolutely wonderfully. No issues with those. And the updated links front and rear have given me no trouble whatsoever. That being said, I've broken this car every single time I've taken it out. Let's go over what we've broken. First of all, I did break the steering servo. This happened in a bad landing, but I think this is the fault of the servo saver. The new servo saver is extremely stiff, and I think I shattered a gear in here. Let's pull this apart and check. As you can see, we've got some mangled teeth here on this gear. Now, I might be able to take this and rotate it 180 degrees and get away with continuing to use it. That's something you can do on some servos, but not other ones. I might try that out on this one. I blame this failure on the new servo saver. I have this exact same servo in my Big Rock, and I had no problems with it until I upgraded the servo saver on that one as well. The new servo saver is incredibly stiff, and that's great for high-end servos, but this is not a high-end servo. So I suspect that the stock servo is going to be a problem, and cheaper upgrade servos are going to be a problem, so expect to put a good servo in this truck when you upgrade. Now beyond that, and this isn't everything I broke, some of the stuff got thrown away, you can see a common theme here, and this is a common theme for these trucks, and probably where my biggest disappointment comes in on this truck itself. It breaks all the suspension components, and it does it a lot. I've got a broken upper and lower arm here. It was pretty chilly out when I broke these, but they did still break. I've got a broken rear arm here where the hinge pin ripped through it. This is a very common theme for these vehicles. I've got one bent drive shaft here. I shattered another drive shaft, and I've bent 3 drive shafts so far. I've got a broken output cup. This is actually the second broken output cup. Again, I threw the other one away. What's causing this problem? I think there are a few things. First of all, these arms are not strong enough, and how they attach to the car isn't strong enough. And this is a problem because you can upgrade how they attach to the car, and there are also RPM arm upgrades, but those RPM arm upgrades aren't really any better. So this is a problem that's very difficult to overcome. Now let's dig into the drive shaft and output cup problem a little bit further. There has been quite a bit of confusion on these new output cups. Are they longer? Are they stronger? Let's clear that up now. This is a stock non-EXP differential. I've verified that the EXP differentials are the same length. The center differentials and the front and rear differentials are also the same length. These previous generation differentials are approximately 67.75 millimeters long. If you look at these new output cups, they appear to be quite a bit longer, but that might be a little little bit deceiving. It's a little bit difficult to get in here, but measuring one of these new differentials, we can see it's about 69.5 millimeters long. Now there's going to be some inconsistency to these lengths because there is some tolerance in here. Gasket thickness is going to affect it. How tight you tighten the screws is going to affect it. But basically, the new differentials are about 1.5 millimeters wider than the old differentials. That means you're getting about 3/4 of a millimeter extra width on these new cups. So basically, they're about that much wider than the old cups. Not a huge difference. So because of that, we're still gonna have the same problem where the shafts wanna fall out. Fortunately, there are several different solutions to this problem because this is the same problem this platform's had for a long time. Let me show you one of them now. Basically, all you need to do is remove your front tires, remove the upper and lower pillow ball caps, then pull the pillow balls out. Behind those pillow balls on the bottom, you're gonna find this reinforcement ring, and on the top, you're gonna find this washer. Take both of these out. This reinforcement ring is designed to help prevent the bottom pillow ball from pulling out of the arm, but I've never really had that be much of a problem anyway. And what this is gonna do is take this hub and push it an extra millimeter in, which is basically the same thing as lengthening these shafts by an extra millimeter. Of course, keep in mind the further in the shafts are, the more likely it is they're gonna bind and break output cups. So there's always a trade-off on these things. That being said, this has been done a lot and it is pretty effective. If you're enjoying this honest, technical deep dive, make sure you get subscribed because we do that kind of thing here all the time. And I've got a pretty ultimate build coming up soon that I don't think you're gonna wanna miss. We've gone over the strengths, we've gone over most of the weaknesses, but is this thing worth the $750 after tax that it costs? I'm not sure. It's a beautiful car, but it exists in a world where this also exists. This is the Team Corally Kagama, and after coupons, you can usually get this thing for significantly less than $600. It's got a stronger body, arguably a better power system, a better servo. You can ignore this plywood front tower. If you're curious about this, make sure you check out my laser cutter video. It's got solid links front and rear. They're incredibly durable. It has the same style of chassis brace that's connected at the center. And whereas it does not have a 7075 chassis, this 6061 chassis has held up very, very well. Now I have beaten on this truck for probably a dozen or more packs, and I've only broken one thing on it. I broke one front CVD when I was absolutely trying my hardest to break this truck. Is this truck indestructible? Absolutely not. In my experience with regular bashing, is it more durable out of the box than the EXB? Yes. Everything inside here is probably about the same, but the suspension components are stronger. This thing also handles great and does standing backflips out of the box on 6S. And we also live in a world where the 4S Outcast and Kraton exist. With the new V2.5, these are extremely compelling vehicles. And again, I have beaten the hell out of this car for many, many packs, including several on 5S. And the only thing I've broken has been this single rear hub. Now, obviously, this isn't exactly the same as a 6S vehicle, but for hundreds of dollars less, you get a vehicle that's basically as capable, and at least in my experience, quite a bit more durable. Now, I don't want you to think I'm being too down on this vehicle. This is a really, really awesome truck. The biggest disappointment I have is that the problems that it has with the suspension are problems that have been here for years, and it's a little bit frustrating that they made a bunch of changes to this truck, yet didn't address some of the most glaring weaknesses that it has, especially given that it's really difficult to fix these weaknesses in the aftermarket. Again, these are your only real choice for these arms. You can go with RPM, but they're really not any better. So you're basically just stuck with this problem. So should you buy the new Arrma 6S EXB RTR? That's a tough one to answer. It's beautiful. They made a lot of great improvements to it. The wing no longer breaks off, which is fantastic, but it's also very expensive. And at least for the type of bashing that I do, vehicles like the Kagama and Arrma's own 4S Kraton and Outcast are better options. That being said, this is a beautiful car. It is a lot of fun. I'm gonna be keeping it around for a while. I really wanna know what your thoughts are on this. Have I missed something about this suspension? I do know that there are options for reducing suspension travel, and that can help with it. However, I don't like reducing suspension travel because that's reducing the capabilities of the vehicle, but I definitely don't know everything. So let me know your thoughts and experience down in the comments. Am I being too harsh on this truck, or should Arrma have taken care of this fundamental problem during their upgrade process? I'd love to hear your opinions, and I'd love to see you in one of these videos.